Hello. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the collective energies and just some of the things that we're seeing, and just also share some personal reflections as well. And one thing that I am loving is this move with Jupiter into Cancer, and that's lighting up my 10th house. Hello to my fellow Libra risings. And it really lit this inner fire within me. And the 10th house is all about sort of public facing and legacy, and how we sort of present ourselves in the public sphere. And big topic. It's been a big topic recently. And I also was experimenting with some homeopathic remedies, and I've had amazing results with homeopathy in the past, and just with being in a new place and just feeling like I needed to ground in and root in, and just how challenging it can be to do that, just to move with a different frequency, a different land. It just takes time to adjust and to adapt, and for your body to be able to read and receive the signals of the land in when you're grounding into a new place. And so I took this homeopathic remedy, Lycopodium 200C, and as soon as I took it, I could feel it working so strongly on my solar plexus, so strongly on my throat, which really, it all works in such beautiful harmony and tandem, because that's what this latest full moon was very much speaking to, was not shying away from harsh truths. And that is the energy of Sagittarius. It's bold, it's bright, look, this is how it is. There's a bluntness to Sagittarius. If you are Sagittarius, or you have people close to you that are Saggies, you'll know that they have this really, really impressive way of getting straight to the point, and being the archer, being able to shoot the arrow to the heart of the issue. And something that I'm really witnessing as well, and this has been kind of going on, I would say, for probably since sort of COVID times, is there are waves, right? People go through waves where we embody different archetypes, and it's all tuned in with our different soul contracts and what we've come here to learn and grow through and from, and the different roles that we might take within the collective. And when we are in that sort of warrior energy of feeling like we have to fight the system, and we have to, we're up against something, that can be at certain times something that we are contracted into. And I've been there myself in those activist spaces, and I was very involved with the Palestinian Solidarity campaign, and used to perform at their, share my poetry at their rallies, and and things like that. It's like, I'm sure we all have places and ways that we've stepped into that warrior archetype, and we've been part of whether it's, if we are someone who's maybe felt themselves to be socially conscious, we've probably in some ways stepped into different movements or different ways of resistance, right? But there also often comes a time where we feel that we have to step away from that, because anybody who's been even remotely involved in those kind of circles knows that it can be exhausting. And not only that, it's about the archetypal frequency that you're being invited to embody. And if you're somebody who is a space holder, if you're somebody who is awake to certain systems and structures, likelihood is you're probably not embodying that real warrior resistance archetype, because they don't tend to fit so they're different. They're just different frequencies. They're different fields of energy. And if we're still playing in that, fight the system, fuck the government, they're all bastards, that kind of thing, we're not holding space. We're not holding that collective field and emitting the energies that we need to be emitting for the people that we're here to serve and the people that we're here to support. And in my own journey, that's what happened to me. My poetry work was very much about colonialism and racism, and that was important for me to share that work at that time. But then I hit this point where I literally couldn't do it anymore. My body was like, no, stop. Like I couldn't even get the words out. There was no way I could share that work anymore, because it came through me for a certain point in time that was important for that point in time. It was perfectly placed for what it was then. It doesn't move with me now to where I am standing and what I am holding now. And I think that's, just sharing that as a mirror, because we all have our own stories of how things like that may have played out for us, where we've been guided in another direction. And, I could call what I experienced at that time burnout. I could call it that, but actually it's so much deeper than that. It's so much more mystical than that. It was my body telling me, it's time. You need to go in a different direction. Where you have been putting your energy is no longer where your energy is required. It's time to move. It's time to shift. It's time to change and transform the archetypes that you're embodying. And that's not to say that I leave pieces of me behind. No, I integrate them and I bring them all and I merge them all and bring them all through me to where I am now. So that's important as well, because the collective can't shift until you shift. We're all part of a grand orchestration and a grand moving organism. And so if you are staying stagnant and not shifting with where you need to move, other people can't rise up into their positions either for where they need to be at this point in time. So it's really about asking, what is the sacred archetype I'm being asked to hold right now? Maybe for some people it is the warrior, the activist, but for others it might be the sacred witness, it might be the space holder, it might be, whatever it might be. Maybe you're really deep in your mother archetype right now. Maybe that's where you are, and likely we're all holding so many different archetypes at different times, and we can merge and blend and deepen and soften into different ones at different times. There's fluidity. It's not something that is immutable in that way. And yeah, so just being aware that if you're not shifting, the other people may not be able to shift either. So recognizing again how our own responsibility within that, the collective waves, because if you're being invited to move, it's not that you're leaving something behind, it's that somebody else is likely going to filter in and start embodying those different characteristics and roles and energies and frequencies as well. And something else that I have been reflecting on as well is just discernment in general. And so many people have come back to me with feedback about these different videos and the last two videos that I've shared, and so many people have had such great feedback and really reflecting back their experiences too of awakening and when their lenses started to shift and when they were able to start to witness what was happening on the main stage in a different way, and be able to really start to see through the, trying to think of another word other than bullshit, through the the facades, shall we say, the masks. And for me, there was a time with, I remember it was the Lee Rigby. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that. I think it was 2013, and there was this supposed, so this was when they had a lot of the on the sort of, you know, political stage. There was a lot of, I think it was ISIS attacks. It was, you know, supposedly Muslim people who were being caught doing these different so-called terror attacks. And I remember it very, very vividly. I was working in an establishment at that time, and they used to have the news on. They would have it on the whole time this place was open, and the Lee Rigby murder, it was literally breaking news at that point. It was like BBC News flashed up on the screen, and it was like breaking news. This soldier has been murdered with a machete outside of, it was some sort of army barracks in Woolwich. And the women that I was working with were all like, oh my God, this is awful, this is terrible, can't believe these bastards have done that sort of thing. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, that's not real. That's not real. And I said to one of the women who I was quite close with, I was like, that's not real. And I just knew it was just this inner knowing that wasn't real. It was the way that they had all of this footage of this guy who supposedly had committed this machete attack, and there was like a little woman with like a trolley that just like walked past him while he's standing there with a machete, and the blood didn't look real. It was just all very, it all seemed very staged. And I later, when sort of researching this, you know, maybe even like several years later, or at least a year or so later, I came across some information online, and it was from his family, the man who had supposedly committed this attack. And they were saying, look, all we know is that he was contacted by MI5 6 months ago, and he left, and we've never seen him since. Now, obviously, with all things discernment, you know, I'm sure there's lots of, if you were to look that up on a fact checker's website, they would say, no, that's not real, right? But there was something about it that really rung true for me, and something about, you know, knowing, having done research and knowing about MK Ultra, knowing about these different mind control mechanisms, it's easy to then see how somebody could be programmed into committing, or not even committing, an attack, being in the right place at the right time where they are supposedly seen to have been committing this supposed attack. And something as well that, you know, I think is difficult for people is when you say that something like this isn't real, or you say that you're not buying into that narrative, is people will, if you're public about it, people will question you. And there's this almost pressure to be able to provide evidence, and to be able to provide this certain concrete proof of what you're talking about. And somebody had actually messaged me yesterday saying that, like, they want to be able to talk about this more, but they feel afraid because they don't have evidence to back it up. And I just said, look, sometimes your intuition doesn't need evidence, and some people aren't going to, it doesn't matter what you tell them, they're not going to believe you. There are certain people in my life I will not have these conversations with, and that doesn't mean I'm being inauthentic. It just means that I know my audience, right? I know who I can speak to, and I'm going to be heard. And this is what, when I had shared a post on Instagram, I think it was just yesterday as well, talking about, speaking to your people. If you're a healer, if you're a helper, like the vast majority of people that watch my stuff are, then you are corded and contracted to certain souls to support them and to have codes for them and exchange information with them. If you tune into my stuff, if you've had sessions with me, we likely have a cord and contract running. In fact, guaranteed we do, right? And that just has different frequencies and information that we exchange with one another. And so your people will hear you. And even if what you say doesn't always sound perfect, I haven't been making videos for a while, and I really felt that the 2 videos I made the other day, I was like, I feel like I could have been more articulate, and I just had to be okay with that, because I was still getting the yes to share those messages. And I was like, you know what, it's fine. You're just a little bit rusty on the camera, on the mic, it's okay. You just have to, just go with it. As long as you're still following your yes to share it, then share it. People will be able to, read through, if you've said something that doesn't sound quite exactly how you meant it to come across. If people can feel your resonance, they know you're being truthful and authentic and you're speaking from your heart. That's all you need to do. You don't need to strive for perfection. And so recognizing that when you're speaking from your heart, when you're speaking authentically, the people that are meant to find you will find you, and they'll crop up, and you'll be like, how did this person even find me? How did they even come across my page or my Instagram or whatever? Because maybe they're on the opposite side of the world from you, but they're your people. So the brighter that you shine, the more that you speak your truth, the more that you just emit those higher frequencies that are imbued in the truth of who you are, your people will find you. And you don't have to fight to prove anything to anyone. If it feels expansive to say, oh, you know what, I don't really see it that way, I have reason to believe that there's maybe something else going on here. You can say that sometimes it's just not worth it. Sometimes it's not worth the energy. But sometimes you might have something really, really valuable to share, and you might spark a change or a different perspective within someone, or might cause someone to question things and look at them in a way that maybe they haven't before. So it's just about using our discernment and using our intuition to know when to when does it feel like it will actually create expansion for both or all parties to actually have these conversations, because sometimes it's just not the right time. I'm sure all of us who have been in this game for a while have had moments where we've been like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that then. Or, maybe that person wasn't ready to hear what you had to say. I used to have that with different family members of mine, and I'd be like, oh, like, I just shouldn't have said it, or, looking back, I would have maybe directed that conversation in a different way. That's just part of being human. We learn and grow from that. And it's just about being discerning and intuiting when is most expansive to have these conversations. And, if you do have a platform or whatever it is, sharing authentically, that's how your people are going to find you and be able to see you and feel that resonance that you emit, and feel that within themselves. So thank you for watching, and take care. Have a wonderful day. I always welcome feedback, as always, and take care.